Hi there, I'm Tim Porter. I'm the co-director of Chaplain Ministries and the endorsing agent for the Free Methodist Church USA. And today we've got Chaplain Captain Andy Baird, who serves with the U.S. Army, with us.
Hey everybody, I'm Andy Baird. As Tim said, I am a chaplain in the United States Army. I'm endorsed through the North Michigan Conference and came from the Mid-America Conference growing up. I'm stationed here at Fort Riley, where I am a chaplain with the 1st Battalion, 18th Infantry Regiment.
So at what point in your life did you begin to feel like the Lord was calling you into military chaplaincy specifically?
So I crammed 4 years of college into 5 at Central Christian College in McPherson, Kansas. And when I came out, I graduated in 2009. And the job market was pretty rough. I had a degree in ministry, which honestly didn't mean a whole lot to anybody at the time. So I went back and I was working at UPS loading trailers. And one of my coworkers, as he got to know me, he had been a Marine or in the Marines, and he said, "Hey, Andy, have you ever thought about being a chaplain?" And I was like, you know what? I'm pretty sure I'd have to go back to school. I just crammed 4 years into 5. I'm also not sure that I want to be like the main pastor somewhere, and that sounds like a main pastor thing. I'm more comfortable working with youth or doing music, but God kind of got a hold of my heart, and the more I thought about it, and the more I prayed about it, and the more I prayed about it, the more I thought about it, that seemed like where I was being led. I talked to some mentors of the faith that were like, I think, Andy, that this is the right direction for you. So then I signed up for a Master's of Divinity, because in the military that's a requirement, and started going to school through what was then George Fox and is now Portland Seminary. And here I am about 10 years later. So it was a bit of a long journey, but it is paid off.
So you thought you wanted to work with youth and with music, and as we know, military personnel tend to be younger. So tell me a little bit about that.
Military chaplaincy takes everything that I've learned in ministry and a lot of things I've just learned through life experience and put them all together to this weird context of serving soldiers. It's all about building relationships. And in this current generation of young people, if you can build an honest relationship, they will value what you have to say. Soldiers don't come to talk to a chaplain when things are going really well. It's usually when something has gone really wrong and they don't know what to do. They need someone to turn to that they can trust. And while they may not have the same faith as I do, they know that the chaplain is a trusted individual that they can go to and say, I'm struggling. And so it's about building that baseline trust to start. And once that baseline trust is built, then we can go into the deeper questions about who are you? What is your belief about the world as a whole? What is your belief about faith? Maybe you have no faith. Maybe you have a different faith than mine. Well, if you have a different faith than mine, explain to me what your faith looks like. And maybe I can speak a little bit into what mine looks like and who Jesus is to me.
Ministry of presence just takes all kinds of forms. It's not just here I am in silence in the midst of chaos, but it's basically walking through life with people. You're with soldiers, and what does it look like?
Being there in the midst of what is collectively known as the suck. And living through that with the people that you serve. It's again more of that baseline that I'm not just here to give you Jesus. I'm here to be with you.
Mm-hmm.
I'm here through the good stuff when we do really well, and we take the objective, and I'm here for the bad stuff when things go sideways that no one expected. I'm here when we're not showering for 25 days in a row. I'm living through the same thing you are. Being there in that allows for the ministry of presence in the difficult times. It allows for the ministry of presence in the good times. When I'm doing a wedding, when I'm doing, something with the birth of a child, but also in a memorial ceremony where we're struggling to accept the loss of a close friend and colleague, or when, a family has lost a baby, when a soldier is getting ready to go through a divorce. Being there in the middle of those other difficult times that we all share allows me to have a greater presence when important life things are happening, not important Army things, because the Army is going to have important things, but important life things that are specific to you as an individual. I get to be there because I've been there in the past.
I wanted to ask you, what gives you the greatest joy as a chaplain?
That's a tough one. It doesn't happen very often. To use, again, church speak, very rarely do I plant a seed and see it grow and then flourish. I have no idea the effect that I have on a lot of my soldiers, whether it's good or bad, because we are assigned to our unit for 2 to 3 years, and then we move on. And our soldiers are moving on the entire time that we are here. It can be tough to not ever see fruit. Yeah. So when there is a connection made and a soldier or a spouse says, I never thought about it this way, sir. I never thought that faith could play into this. Those are unique and special opportunities.
What are some other differences that you see between civilian ministry and being in the Army and ministry in that setting?
There is an importance in the military that you are a chaplain in a pluralistic environment. You are a chaplain where people are going to be from a variety of faiths or a lack of faith. People are going to come from a home life that's completely different from yours. People are going to come from where their lifestyle is accepted, whereas you have a hard time with that. You have to be willing to live in that tension, where it's not what you want, but it is their right according to the Constitution and according to whatever administration is in power to do that thing. As a military chaplain, you have to be willing to live with that. So imagine if you're a pastor and you live and work with your congregation every day, not on Sundays or Thursdays or Wednesdays or whatever day it is that you have meetings or you have groups that meet, but like you see people in your congregation literally every day, and some of them every day of the week. You get to see them when they're sleep deprived and haven't had a shower, like we talked about, for multiple days in a row. I get to see people at their worst, and they get to see me at my worst. Yet we are still able to interact with one another. Green overpowers everything else. There is no gender, there is no race. We are all soldiers, one way or the other. And being in that unique context is completely different than being a pastor at a church.
If someone were to come up to you and say, Andy, why are you a military chaplain? What would you say to them?
It requires a special calling to do this job, point blank, because it's not for everybody, and that's, again, okay. There were some very important mentors in my life that spoke to me about this potential calling. I did chaplain candidacy while I was in seminary. It was a unique experience. It did prepare me in a lot of ways for what I do now as a full-time military chaplain. But it was different than anything I had ever done in the past. And because it was in the reserve, it's different than anything I plan to do in the future. I plan to stay in until retirement, but God has plans of his own, and mine do not trump his. Yeah. I have to go where I'm led and see what that looks like. And if that's away from the military, then so be it. But holding that calling in an open hand, because it's not my plans, it's God's. And I wish I could understand some of that sometimes more than I do. But God's knowledge is way beyond my own.